Hello everyone, this is Coach Cameron Roberts here. You are live, or maybe you're listening to the recording, but you are joining On Deck with Coach Cameron. That's hashtag On Deck with Coach Cameron. Now you can find us on the show. You can find our show on Google+, Facebook or Twitter. You just need to type in hashtag On Deck with Coach Cameron and you'll find all the episodes there for you to watch. And this show is really about empowering people in the areas of business, success, and marketing. So if you're interested about improving your business, if you want to live a more successful life, or you want to learn the latest and greatest marketing and sales tricks and techniques and strategies, you need to listen to what's going on with On Deck with Coach Cameron. Now, if you're a fan of iTunes or SoundCloud, you can listen in to the recordings and download the recordings of this show. This show is streamed live 9 o'clock every Tuesday and Thursday morning, Sydney, Australia time. However, as I said, if you're an iTunes or SoundCloud user, you can download the podcasts and listen to those programs at your own leisure. You can also find us on YouTube. Again, just search for Coach Cameron Roberts and I'll pop up on YouTube, or again, search for the hashtag On Deck with Coach Cameron. Now, from time to time, we like to interview people who are inspirational, who can provide our listeners with strategies to succeed in life, in business, and marketing. And one such person who I have the privilege of talking to today is the entrepreneur behind I Am the Change. And his name is Paul Newson, and he is live on the call now. Thank you for joining us today, Paul.
Hey, thanks for having me, Cameron. I'm really excited to be here, mate.
Now, Paul, you've got a very interesting story, and maybe you can share that with the listeners before we kick off and talk about what it is that you do and how you inspire people and build teams and help people increase their income and improve their health. But, for the listeners that maybe don't know you, can you share a little bit of a, backstory about you? How did you get to where you are today? Maybe some challenges that you've overcome in life, in business, or maybe an inspirational part of your life. Like, can you share some information about who you are and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. So my story really gets its form or its shape from the constant change I had when I was little. So I grew up in a split family, so just raised by a single mum or a Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And no real relationship with my dad, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. And Mum's way of always giving me the best was she was continually searching for what was best, which means there was continual change. And so by the age of, I think it was 15, I'd been to something like 10 different schools.
Wow.
And in one school there was 2 schools in 1 year. That sounds terrible, and it sounds like we were destitute, which is not the case. Mum was working many jobs to keep us fed, and she did an amazing job. But in her wisdom, she never had a role model or a father figure to bounce off, or
Yeah.
meaning my father. So she'd always ask her friends what they thought, and because her friends were varied, we'd get different opinions, and so I'd go to a different school. And my schooling was really formed on trying to understand who I could fit in with, who I could become friends with, more so than actually doing the work.
Yeah.
You know what
Okay.
I mean? So
Yeah.
So I'd sit in the classroom and try to understand who are the best people that I could hang out with, who's going to like me, where do I fit in here? Because it was just constant change, and I got very good at it, although I was very young and wasn't doing it consciously. I was just fitting in. So that was an interesting upbringing, and of course, as you know, Cameron, we all have patterns that we learn from as youngsters. So as I left school, I carried that same pattern into my working career.
Right.
The job would last every year or so.
Okay.
And I was unskilled, so the first job I had was actually picking up horse poo. That was all I was able to get, was to do a job like that. And from there,
we've all had jobs like that. I could tell you some really funny jobs I've had.
I tell you, mate, it was good in the winter. It was good for the hands. It was very cold where I was at the time.
And things can only go up from there, right?
That's right.
It can only get better.
You got it right, mate. Totally right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of kept me going, moving forward, and and went from picking up horse poo. Then I got sick of doing that. I thought there must be something more to life than this, and went into construction, or unqualified construction, and then got sick of that. So then I tried hospitality, and began to run bars, and I really enjoyed that. Although I did see a limit for where I was at. I just couldn't see a pathway forward.
Yeah. And running bars, was the affinity there with the amount of people? You enjoyed the interaction with people?
Yeah, I was actually terrified to start with because I was such a shy kid. Yeah, absolutely. Really shy kid, very introverted. Yeah. But it terrified me, but I watched a movie called Cocktail. I don't know if you've seen that one with Tom Cruise.
Okay, I remember that one. Yeah, with Tom Cruise and the spinning glasses.
Yeah. I thought I'll do that. That's cool. Yeah. And in a small country.
You actually look like Tom Cruise a little bit, Paul.
Oh, thanks, Cam. Yeah, cool. So that got me from one place to the next. I felt like I was expanding. Didn't understand it, but I just felt like I kept growing, and continually got stuck with limits from other people. And I didn't know what they were, but I just felt that there was just stuff on me. And then I moved into sales, and I was been selling real estate for 15 years as a marketer, not as a real estate agent. Yeah. So doing seminars and things like that, and then eventually got to a point where I had my own company, but I had no business skills. I never learned business, didn't go to school as you picked it up, or university. I was really just kind of winging it. And one of the greatest skills that I'd picked up, which I thank my mum for many times, was one of those skills that I'd learned that wasn't taught per se, is that I'd learned to relate to people. I'd learned to relate to just about anybody. Do you know what I mean? Wow, almost anybody I could understand, because I'd been around so many different types of people. Yeah. And it made me naturally an amazing listener, because I was always listening to find out how I could be friends. And so I had this amazing skill to listen to people and to really find out what was important to them and what they wanted and where they wanted to go. And that was all I had, which was good enough to build relationships and to create sales. But it wasn't good enough to build a business with infrastructure and support systems and all those things that are important. Yeah. So, coupled with that and broken relationships, I almost went bankrupt. And I say almost, I didn't get there, but it was very, very close. Yeah. And I found myself with no income, almost to the point of depressed, an alcoholic, living on the beach, living a bachelor's lifestyle, but very, very depressed. And something came to me, and I thought, something's got to change, something's got to happen here. Yeah. And I began to ask myself, what is it that was most important to me? What did I really want? And I had these, what I'd call, these moments of inspiration where I was making change in the world. Imagining myself up on stage and doing all these amazing things. But then I had this poignant question which said, what do you want that for? What's the reason? Yeah. And it didn't come to me for, I don't think, 2 or 3 days. Meanwhile, I'm negotiating with creditors and trying not to get kicked out of my house.
Wow, that's an amazing story.
Anyway, it came to me, and the answer was for the love of a good woman. Yeah. Obviously, I was single and never had a proper relationship and wasn't brought up in a supportive family. So when that came to me, I asked myself, okay, wow, that's pretty simple. Would the love of a good woman, or my version of a good woman, would she be interested in a guy like me? And the answer was absolutely not. No way. No way, no how. Because my number one value was freedom at the time. And I just saw everything why nothing was working, because for me,
so you had some conflicting values then.
Oh, did you? Totally conflicting. Yeah. Family and freedom. So as soon as you get too close to somebody, I'd shoot off unconsciously. Right. Yeah.
And I'm sure many people can relate to this, but it's probably something that, like you said, they're not conscious of it. They're not conscious that they have conflicting values. But obviously, at some point, you recognised that you had conflicting values. When was that?
That was at that moment. I was walking down the beach, and I literally said to myself, am I the kind of guy that would attract a strong woman who wants to create a family? And because I knew myself, and I've always studied personal development, and big fans of Tony Robbins and read countless books, I just knew that the way that I was going wasn't conducive to attracting everything that I wanted.
Right. Yep.
And that's when I made a decision.
Was that the turning point in your life? Would you say that was one of a couple of turning points that started to turn things around for you?
Yeah, that was one of. I won't say it was the most poignant one, but it was definitely the beginning. It was the
Yeah,
beginning
okay.
where I realized I needed to go and find a mentor, and I needed to
Yeah.
immerse myself and do everything I never thought I could.
So it was almost like you had to take that first step. Once you realized what needed to be done, it was you had to take a first step.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what happened from there?
So then I went and immersed myself with a mentor for a couple of years, and
Yeah.
wow, this guy taught me so many different things. But at the same time, I kind of had to learn it very much like the rest of life. It seemed like all the tasks that I was doing,
Yeah.
um, I didn't feel like I was learning what I wanted to learn, and I felt very restricted.
Yeah.
Um, Although with 2020 hindsight, it was the best possible place to be because I now had to develop an emotional fitness to create the strength for me to actually even begin to be an entrepreneur and to begin to do the things I wanted to do and actually stick with it
Right.
through the ups and the downs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it was almost like through chaos comes leadership, if that makes any
Right. Yeah,
sense.
that's really good, isn't it?
Mm. I just knew I had to go bang and get this sorted. And in that process, long story short, is that I did attract the girl, which is fantastic. So she's a
That's
wonderful
good.
woman, and and here I sit.
Very good. Very good. And so here you sit. So you've got the girl of your dreams. You guys have been together for how long?
18 months.
18 months. Okay, that's cool. And where are you now in relation to, your business, your finance? Like, has that grown? Has that turned around now from where you were before?
Yeah, it has, Cameron. Um, it's funnily enough, it's given me freedom, which was my number one value way back when.
Right. Yep.
Um, it's given me a business that's centered on contribution. It's a business that really doesn't work unless I'm focusing on other people, which for someone
Yeah.
that was brought up to fend for himself or to be on his own was such a dramatic shift. And when I realized that the only way forward was to put other people first and
Yep.
then run a business model that only worked if I did that, man, speechless, to be honest.
Yeah. So the business model we're talking about is the I am the change movement. Is that correct? That's the one you're talking about?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. And so tell me a little about your vision with I am the change. What's it all about for those people that have never heard of it before, and what's the vision behind the company or the business?
Yeah, sure. Well, the I am the change movement. Really, if we break it down to the first part, the I am section is the same words in English language as what Om is in to Buddhism, and that is your creative spirit. Some people
Wow.
call it universe, some call it God. You can call it what you want. I'm
Yep.
not religious or anything like that, but that's what it is. It's that creative force that comes through you,
Yep.
which has the ability to create everything you want or everything you don't want, depending on how you guide it.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
so, so I am the change movement. So
Yeah.
it's a complete framework and a roadmap to creating an abundance of health and wealth through your mind, your body, and your money, and
Yeah.
also your soul. So it's
Okay.
really
Good.
about getting very clear on who you really are beneath the personality, and getting
Yeah.
back in touch. What are the
Okay.
things that you want to contribute to and do?
Okay. Great. So just let me get it clear. So it's a networking type business, is it?
Yeah, that's right. So it runs on a network marketing model, and
Yeah.
that's where the financial thing comes through. But
Okay.
it's also a movement on top of that.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So why is networking becoming so popular, like network marketing? It's really reaching a point where, a lot of people are getting involved and a lot of people are achieving a great amount of success. I personally know someone in my life who earns six figures a year in network marketing. Why is it, kind of the new model, if you like, for people wanting to generate more income?
Well, from what I'm seeing, Cameron, is people are getting to a point where they're realizing that this traditional model that we're running doesn't work.
Yeah.
Traditionally, it doesn't work. It's set up that the majority of the population is trading their time for money.
Right.
And
That's a really good distinction, isn't it?
yeah, and what I've certainly noticed, I'm not the only one, is that now salaries are becoming less and less,
Yeah.
and performance-based incentives are becoming higher and higher.
Yeah.
And coupled with that is with all this technology and information, which, as you know, with me, I'm in the dark with it all. Is that more often than not now we're speaking to a computer, and jobs are being replaced. So there's less and less
Yeah.
need for quote unquote physical labour. And in those cases, the salaries are coming down and the performance bonuses are coming higher. So
Yeah.
one thing I've noticed with networking is that you'll find the world's best products. Doesn't matter which company, but all the products are amazing. But they've taken a model which is based on, like I said, contribution. It's got to be word of mouth referral. And anybody
Yeah.
that's ever been in business, what's the best form of business you can ever get?
Well, it's always a referral business, isn't it? It's always someone
Always.
telling someone about your product or service. They come to you highly qualified and ready to buy.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
really that's the networking model, isn't it? You're just, teaching other people what you know, and they talk to other people and they refer you the products and they have great success and they want to tell other people.
Absolutely. And the real key to it is it's really about helping other people get what they want. And
Yeah.
interestingly enough, the products are secondary.
Yeah,
It's really
okay.
about helping people to retire.
Yeah. And what do you think, if someone was new to network marketing, or maybe they've been involved with a company for some time and they're not achieving success, or someone's new and they're not really sure whether this, income model or business model is right for them, what would you say? Because I know, you're very successful at it now, and it wasn't always the case.
No.
I know your backstory, but now you're enjoying a very high quality of life thanks to your network marketing business. What would you say is some of the key factors to success in network marketing?
Mm. Look, the first thing is if it's not working for somebody, it's probably because you're thinking, or the person's thinking all about them.
Right,
In other words, it's all about me, and it doesn't work that way. And
right. So if
it
they
doesn't
go
necessarily.
into it thinking, oh, I'm going to make a ton of money, this is going to be good for me, and they're not thinking outside themselves, that's going to really restrict their ability to grow their network marketing business.
Of course, yeah. It's not about the
Yeah,
money. I mean, that's the side effect. That's what I like to look at it. But also, too, conversely, that's one all about me. But also, the other all about me is, what will people think? Or I can't do this, or this
right.
is too hard, or I don't want to
Yeah,
be, or I.
yeah,
So if there's lots of I's involved, that's a really good indication as to perhaps why it's not flowing as well as it needs to flow.
yeah. There's
Mm.
some really interesting distinctions there, Paul, because as you know, I coach a lot of business people, and I get the same blockages with, for want of a better word, traditional business, bricks and mortar business owners. They're the same thing. Once we can teach them to get the money out of the way, their businesses really flourish.
Mm. It's funny, mate. I've got to teach my team to get them out of the way,
Yeah,
and then the money comes. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. Now, I know in traditional business, if you apply certain strategies and you do things a certain way and you get good at, sales and marketing, and, you get good at doing what you're doing and people refer, you business, it can become quite successful. How does someone become successful and make a lot of money quickly in network marketing?
Yeah. Look, the word quickly jumps out at me as a I don't know, a sore point.
Yeah,
People have made money quickly with network marketing, but they're at a certain level. They're already probably very successful and quite influential and can make a few phone calls and the thing goes nuts.
yeah,
But it's a business like everything else, Cam. And
that's right.
but the beauty is it can be done in part-time. I built mine up in 5 hours a week over
Right.
12 months.
Yeah,
And but you've got to understand it's a business and it's a skill set. So
yeah,
just because you're great at doing whatever you're already doing doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be great at networking.
right.
So you've got to make that distinction that if, let's just say, financial freedom is something that's important to you, you've got to learn it.
Yep.
You've really got to understand it and become an expert at it. and know that it takes time. With my team, we work on a 12-month timeline.
Yeah.
To replace the average income. Obviously, some people need to be a little bit longer and some are a bit quicker. But 12 months part-time, how many hours have you got? What are you prepared to do? And then it's really a dedication to learn some new skills. And you only need to learn about 7. It's not like a million.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. But the number one skill is communication. We've got to learn how to communicate properly. That's the first key.
Yeah, that's right. I think it was Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar that used to talk about the magic of part-time and how if you studied an area part-time, you could become really great at it, in time. Because like you said, 5 hours a week equals 20 hours a month equals 200 odd hours a year. And that's the magic of part-time, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so someone can start from zero and having the right plan, the right coaching, the right mentoring within 12 months, you would say it's realistic for someone to replace their current income in 12 months with the right training, the right mentoring, and the right strategies. Is that fair? Is that a fair comment in networking?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely fair, and obviously there's exceptions. It all depends on the individual and the commitment. So if the very first starting point I work with my team is let's start with why you're doing it, and my vision, which kind of started from me, was about my mum and my son.
Yeah.
So get very, very clear on why you're doing it, and the systems are already there. Like it's already there for anybody just to start learning. There's no need to reinvent any wheels.
And you talk about your team and the work you do with the team. Like, what makes a good team? Like, what do you do with your team to improve the skills of the team? How do you build up a team?
So I always spend a good couple of hours with somebody to start with, and I take the time to get to know somebody. So it's really about building relationships. That's the key. That's the bottom line. So how do you build a team? You get to know the people individually. Yeah. Find out what they want, what their blocks are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and work with them. Work with them like like your family.
Yep. That's really good. And what would you say are some of the biggest challenges that you've faced building teams? Because as you know, like I've coached, sports teams. I could name a few, but what are some of the challenges you find in working with teams?
Well,
for like someone might be listening to this and they might think, I want to get into this, but what are some of the challenges I should expect, or maybe what are some things in hindsight that you've learned that make building teams better?
Sure. Expect to fail. That would be, I'm not sure that's a challenge, but failure is going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
It's going to be a challenge, but it's also a key component.
Yeah.
So
one of the terms that I use, in coaching people is falling forwards fast. So many people don't start anything because of their fear of failure, but if you're prepared to fail, you can actually achieve a lot more because it's by your failures or by your mistakes that you actually learn and grow. Would you say that's a fair comment too in networking?
Oh my God, it's so true. Absolutely, so true. Do you know what I mean? And because it's an interesting component is that if you're going to make a shift and start to focus on other people, and begin to help other people, again, it's a skill set, and there's this interesting model which kicks in where you begin to realize that the more people you help, the more you get paid. And that can really play tricks on a young Jedi. Yeah, definitely with me. It definitely did with me. But you've just got to be prepared to begin to understand these. This is like a universal law. You get what you give. This is not a cliche. It's the truth.
No, that's right.
So be prepared to go out there and be prepared to look silly and just keep doing it, because eventually you'll get so good at listening to people, your relationships are going to improve, your business will build, but you've got to fail. You've got to muck it up. If you're not going to step out the front door and open your mouth, then it's not going to work.
And it's so true, whether it's networking, whether it's traditional business, whether it's sports, it doesn't matter. If you're not prepared to get in and have a go and do some trial and error and fall forwards fast or make some mistakes, you can't grow. You can't get better. You can't improve your race, your game, whether it's tennis, golf, swimming, triathlons, running, business, whatever it is. You've got to be prepared to put yourself out there in what we call the arena of life. and some you win, some you lose, and you just move on and do the next thing and do the next competition and be in the next arena.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
And School of Hard Knocks is the best school I ever went to.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been there, haven't we?
For sure.
Now, if I was a newbie starting out, you talked about, the young Jedi starting out with training for all the Star Wars fans out there. But if I was a newbie, a new person starting out in network marketing, what should I look for? And can you give me some tips, for want of a better word, on how to be successful and how to make sure I achieve my goals in those first 12 months?
Yeah, definitely. Again, the first place to start with is begin to just understand why you're wanting to do this.
Yeah.
That's the first key. And also make sure you're finding a company or the term that we use as a sponsor, that is there to be supportive.
Okay.
Nothing worse than starting and not being supported. So that's really, really important. Also, too, is just check in with yourself and see how willing you are to receive.
Right.
Because being open to receive is such a big fundamental part of your success. And we talk about giving, and that's a big thing too. So learning to really place the interests of other people first is we need to understand that networking is about, like I said to you, it's about developing relationships. So it's a continual improvement on developing relationships. We need to learn how to give our time. And that's sometimes where your 5 hours a week comes from. Yeah. Is your first 5 hours might be just speaking to people, and then the next 5 hours might be supporting those people. So you get very good at giving, but you've also got to become very good at receiving compliments and all those sort of things. It's fundamental to what we do.
Okay. Now you're talking about starting part-time, building at 5 hours a week. If I was new, do I need to know a lot of people? Do I need to be someone that's popular, well connected? Do I need to know a lot of people, a big networking in my own community to be successful? Like, what if I'm just a quiet guy and I don't know many people?
Yeah, no, not at all. You can do it knowing zero people. You could do it having absolutely no friends. Sure, it might be a bit more of a challenge for you because you haven't got any friends or any relationships to work with. But like I said, the system's very, very simple and it's very, very easy to teach. When I think about when I first started, I had I think 50 people that I knew that I could write on a list. But how many did I really know? It wasn't 50.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I'm a handful of people. I'm still a close kind of knit kind of guy.
Yeah. Okay.
So you just, swallow the fear and you think, oh my God, what are these people going to be thinking? What am I going to say? They're going to think I'm trying to hound them. And that's all the stuff we've got to work through because we're really giving them a gift if we just got to help communicate that.
Right, yeah. And tell me, as a bit of a side issue or side strategy, I don't know, does social media come into play these days with networking? I mean, maybe 15 years ago, networking was about how many people you actually knew just in life because you didn't communicate with other people outside of life. But with the internet and social media, people have bigger networks now than they've ever had. Does that help someone with networking and network marketing businesses these days?
Unbelievably.
Really?
I got guys on my team that only do business through Facebook.
Wow, that is amazing.
Just Facebook.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Always adding friends. They see someone's post, they go, oh, what's that person? They read the profile, say, hey, I just read your profile, blah, 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 bang, done.
Yeah.
And in fact, yesterday I sold a car to a guy who works with LinkedIn. And interestingly enough, we got talking about networking, and he was talking about LinkedIn to a degree that I didn't even know it could do. And there's so much stuff out there. And I said, mate, would you sit down with me when you get home and you've relaxed, and will you teach me how to do this with LinkedIn because I don't understand how to use it properly.
Right. Yeah.
So there's so many tools out there. Some people like to
absolutely.
Some of the phone, some of social media, some of whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And then one of my clients who I've just started, speaking of LinkedIn, one of my clients I've started working with is actually a LinkedIn coach or LinkedIn consultant, and I've started to help him with some of his marketing. But like you said, it's just amazing the amount of people that you can reach out to and connect with on social media these days, isn't it?
It's unbelievable.
To grow your business.
Yeah, and I've used it. I've used it to gain people for my events.
Yeah.
I've used it to tap into different conversation groups, or you call them groups.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm always searching for new people to connect to, and just develop relationships with.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Because people could start their own group on Facebook, couldn't they? They can start their own Facebook group. You can start your own LinkedIn group. You can start your own Google Plus group. People may or may not be aware that those social media channels actually allow you to build your own community on that social media channel.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I've done. I think you've done that as well, Cameron. A lot of my team are following suit. So when when I have a chat with my team, again, I'll come back to where we're going. But one of the biggest, mistakes that people tend to make with networking is that they think they've got to go out there and speak to everybody.
Right.
And that's not the case. You get very clear on what kind of people you're looking for in your team.
Right.
For me personally, I went even further and thought, well, how old are they? What's going on in their life?
Yeah.
How do I speak to them? How do I communicate to them?
Yeah.
That's how I began to search for people. You know what I mean?
Right.
And my team followed suit. Not all of them, but those that are really wanting to thrive.
Yeah.
Have gone, oh wow, okay. So we'll have a conversation with them for a couple of hours or 3 hours or whatever it takes for them to go, that's it. That's my people. Yeah. That's my tribe. These are the people I want to help because they're just like me.
Good. Yeah.
And when we get to that space, absolutely, Facebook pages open up and promotional videos start, and all of a sudden we've got a movement within a movement.
Yeah, that's right.
Within a movement. Yeah. So you have all these movements are lining up with this vision. It's all linked together. Man, it's chemistry. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you talk about, identifying who the right people are to talk to, that's exactly the same as traditional bricks and mortar businesses. Just because someone's got a heartbeat doesn't mean that they're your future customer. Even in traditional business, you've got to know who's your target market, where do they live, what do they do, who else already has them as a business. All of those things are really important. You don't sell your products and services to everyone on planet Earth. There is a particular market that will use your products and services, and it's no different to networking, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, there's somebody for everybody. I think that's the phrase goes. And I certainly know my team, and I did this the hard way. Like most people that are successful in networking, they went out and totally failed for the first year or two.
Yeah.
Because I thought I had to speak to everybody. So as I was speaking to everybody, I'm like, this is amazing, you need to do this, this is cool, you're going to feel fantastic. Yeah. And then I give all my time on coaching people and trying to empower people and trying to get them to move up through the ranks.
Yeah.
But it was like pulling teeth. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I had a mentor say, stop it, stop doing it.
Yeah.
Find the ones that want the change. Find the ones that want to grow. Find the ones that want to support their kids, teach their kids, look after their parents. Find them. Find those ones, and you won't have to pull. You can lead effectively, and you can lead more people. Yeah.
And then you teach them to do the exact same thing that you're doing.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing with networking is it's duplication and it's pure leverage.
Yeah.
5 hours for me with a team of 100 people is 500 hours worth of work. Do you know?
Yeah. Right. That's good. Now, what are some of the rewards people get from being a part of a networking business? Obviously the financial rewards, but what are some of the rewards that people can get out of putting their best foot forward, starting off with 5 hours a week, then building to 10 and replacing their income? Can you give us a picture of if I didn't know anything about networking, where could I be in 2 years if I really applied myself?
Wow, you can be anywhere you wanted to be, Cameron. Anywhere. And for anyone listening, in 2 years' time, I've seen people go from university student to on stage presenting to 10,000 people. If that's what inspires you.
That's amazing.
If that's what inspires you. Absolutely. I've seen people retire and disappear on boats. If that's what you want to do. The best rewards though. For me, and this is where I really fell in love with it. It was the gift of contribution and the rewards that I've got. So if you can imagine someone coming up to you and saying with tears in their eyes, "Oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much. My husband can now, do what he couldn't do before."
Yeah.
That's the best reward for me.
Also, that's amazing, isn't it?
Being so not introverted, but such a close-knit guy, I still have my rock star moments, and I love the recognition. And I sometimes compare networking to the Oscars, because
that's good.
We have quite a few big extended team meetings, and it's like the Oscars. Who's done this and who's done that, and you get your recognition. You take your teams with you, they get their recognition. So it's just an absolute field of personal development. The way that I've come to know it is it's a platform for your spiritual growth, however you want to call that. So it's really a way to raise your consciousness, because you've really got to focus outwardly. It's not all about you. So there's so many things, Cameron. I could go on forever.
Wow, that's amazing. And for you, Paul, like, what motivates you? What keeps you moving forwards and driven in this area? And or driven, might not be the best word, but what's your passion? What keeps you going? What gets you up in the morning and keeps you up late at night about networking?
Man, that's a great question. That's a really cool question. And when I found out that what I was doing was for the love of a good woman, something happened, and I heard about this before. I actually heard Tony Robbins talk about this. He said, "There's nothing worse than getting to your goal and then asking yourself what's next."
Right.
And that's where I got to. I was like, "Oh, okay. So now what do I do?" Because my inspiration had then gone.
Right.
And I had a moment of inspiration in the shower. I think where we all have our our inspiration was in the shower, and I caught myself with an element of blame that my son was in his schooling system. I could see he wasn't following his heart. I could see that the idea of following passions was so left field. It was like it wasn't something that he had grown up with, because me and his mum split at a very early age. And I could hear myself just going, well, the reason he's not is because of X, Y, Z, all these external factors. Right. And that's when I nearly fell over in the shower, and that's where the name I Am the Change came from, because I realized that I was putting everything I'd ever wanted for myself and my family outside of myself. And when it really hit me, Cameron, I went, oh my God, I want to be spending time with my son, because of who's going to teach him how to follow his heart? It's not the school system, that's for sure.
No, that's right.
And I can't expect anybody else outside of myself to take that responsibility. Do you know what I mean? And that was just such a bolt of lightning that came through me. I literally nearly fell over in the shower. That's what gets me out of bed, Cam, is spending time with my son and having the time. Hey?
Oh, you're right.
The time,
mate. Yep.
Sorry, the time and the finances to be there for him, to follow him, to help him to achieve that, and to help him grow, so that when he looks back on different people, he sees an amazing reflection of himself and other people.
Right.
That was it for me, mate. Yeah, and my mum. I want my mum to retire. She's doing her best, and when I realised that I could make sure that she didn't have to struggle anymore, that was something else that kept me going. So that's what I look at when I get frustrated, when I get annoyed, when I feel like I can't do it, and I go through that regularly. I just look up and see those photos, and that keeps me going.
Yeah. Oh, that's very good. Now, getting back to I Am the Change as we wrap up, because I know we're both got to get on and do other things, and we're coming to the end of the show. If someone was interested in what it is that you do, or had more questions about network marketing or networking, and wanted to find out more about I Am the Change and becoming a part of your team, what can they do? How can they get in contact with you? What do you suggest the next step should be for them, Paul?
Sure. So a couple of ways. You can send me an email to paul@iamthechangemovement.com.
Okay. Can you just repeat that again for us?
Sure. That's paul@iamthechangemovement.com.
Okay. Cool. Yep.
And you'll see a contact us page there, or you'll see a page that says change now, and that's where you can fill in a few details, tell us a bit about yourself, and we can get in touch. Or I'm happy for you to give me a call directly on my mobile, which is 0424 814 519.
Okay. What's that mobile again?
0424 814 519.
Okay. And the website, what's the website? www.
IamTheChangeMovement.com.
Okay, great. All right, Paul, as we wrap up today, is there anything else you'd like to finish?
I just wanted to express my gratitude for you, Cameron. Sorry, you froze up for a second there, mate.
Yeah, cool.
Just a deep gratitude for you, mate. You've been very inspirational for me since I've met you, since you walked through some doors. I think it was about 18 months ago or 12 months ago.
Yeah, we crossed paths, didn't we?
We have, mate. So watching your journey has really inspired me, and I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to sit here. Very, very grateful.
Hello everyone, Coach Cameron Roberts here. I wanted to give a big thank you to Paul for coming on the show today, for coming on deck with Coach Cameron. As you might have guessed, we had some technical difficulties there at the end. So nonetheless, here's Paul's details again. If you need to get in touch with Paul, you can do so at www.IamTheChangeMovement.com. That's www.IamTheChangeMovement.com. Thank you very much again for tuning in. I wish you all the best for your business and your life, and I look forward to coaching you really soon. Thank you.